Trump's visit to the UK was meant to be a diplomatic event, a routine affair where leaders shake hands and make polite comments. But nothing about this event was typical. The moment arrived when Trump, standing before a grand audience, unexpectedly heaped praise upon Prince William, declaring him the remarkable son. Not sons, not a plural recognition for all heirs, but singularly focused on William. The words hung in the air like an undeniable proclamation of the royal future. As Trump extolled William's potential and predicted his future greatness, the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't just a speech. It was a definitive statement that made it clear who was meant to shine in this royal family. Meanwhile, Prince Harry, who had been largely absent from the spotlight lately, was nowhere to be seen in the glowing narrative. The slight was palpable. In Montecito, far away from the regal banquet halls, Harry was likely fuming, possibly throwing a fit, his surfboard lying idle as he stewed in the shadow of his brother's newfound glory. The optics were brutal. Harry had long struggled to carve out a meaningful role for himself. And now, in a mere moment, Trump's words wiped out any hope of him standing at the forefront. William's success was painted in bold strokes, while Harry's absence spoke louder than any words could. It wasn't just about one speech. It was the culmination of years of media attention, personal drama, and failed attempts at reinvention. For Harry, this was more than just an event. It was a reminder of his diminished place in a family that continued to evolve without him at the center. With every passing minute, it became increasingly clear that his path diverged from the one his brother was walking. As William embraced his role as the future, Harry was left to reconcile with the reality that his relevance in the royal narrative was slowly fading away. In the warm, golden light of his Californian retreat, Harry must have felt like the ground beneath him was crumbling. There, in the heart of a glittering royal event, all eyes were on his brother, William, while Harry sat miles away, detached from the very world that seemed to be moving on without him. At the state banquet, the atmosphere was thick with expectation. And then, without a moment's hesitation, Donald Trump stepped up. He didn't wait for anyone else to speak, didn't allow for any pretensions or niceties. He simply praised William, his words ringing out clear and confident. "Charles, you've raised a remarkable son." It was as if the entire room had focused solely on William, casting him in a blinding spotlight. The prince stood there, effortlessly embodying everything expected of him, regal, poised, and surrounded by an aura that seemed to make every other presence in the room fade into the background. He looked like a vision ripped straight from a royal fantasy, so stunning, so composed, that it almost seemed as if the very lights of the banquet hall had dimmed just to highlight his perfection. Meanwhile, Harry was left on the sidelines, desperately clinging to whatever semblance of relevance he could muster. He watched as his brother was lifted higher, as his place in the royal narrative was cemented, and in contrast, Harry appeared almost invisible. Trump's words were the final stroke in a long and growing separation between the two brothers. In that moment, it wasn't just about praise. It was about power, legacy, and the unmistakable message that William was the chosen heir. Harry? He was nothing more than a forgotten side note, a glitch in the royal machine. While William's star shone ever brighter, Harry found himself in the background, a figure who once might have mattered, but now seemed like little more than a fleeting memory in a grand, unfolding story. Meanwhile, in sunny California, Harry was probably sitting back, fingers crossed, hoping that at least one of his Instagram memes would get a few likes. I mean, come on, it's not like his endless spa sessions for Dukes or his deeply moving Spotify podcasts weren't the exact steps to global fame, right? Forget the royal lineage. This was the real stuff, the true path to a legacy. Surely all that content about self-help and, let's face it, soul-searching must have been the ticket to being recognized. If not by the British royal family, at least by a few 100,000 followers. Well, surprise, surprise. Trump decided to crown his brother William as the remarkable son, not Harry. What a twist. And let's not sugarcoat it. Harry was likely thinking his life was some kind of never-ending drama series, the kind with twists and turns, maybe even a little redemption arc. But, in a cruel turn of fate, reality swooped in like a cold shower. His place in the royal family? Yeah, it was somewhere off-screen. His presence barely made it into the frame. In fact, it's quite possible that even in that iconic portrait with Princess Diana, Harry's face was just a blur, barely visible as the shadowy figures standing in the background. Imagine the emotional turmoil Harry must have been going through in that moment. It's one thing to feel overshadowed, but to be outright erased from the royal narrative. It must have been gut-wrenching. His father, the king, stands as the pinnacle of the family, while his brother, William, is lauded as the remarkable son. And then there's Harry, a mere afterthought, like a character who somehow missed the plot entirely. It wasn't just a slight, it was a complete emotional blow. It's like being at your own birthday party and everyone is having a great time, but somehow they forget to acknowledge that it's actually your day. You sit there, smiling politely, watching the attention pour elsewhere, while inside, you're crushed. That feeling, like you're invisible in the place that's supposed to mean the most, is soul-shattering. And there Harry was, miles away in California, gripping his iPhone. The latest beach photo was there, a perfect image of the life he'd chosen. But in his heart, he felt miles away from anything real. The world was moving on without him. And despite his efforts to project a different image, it felt like the universe was giving him a silent, unmistakable message. You're just not part of this. And no matter how many posts or interviews he put out, that truth hung heavier than ever. In the end, Harry and William are playing entirely different games. One is the heir to the throne, basking in his lavish events, public speeches, and international titles. The other is that guy who somehow ended up in the background of everyone else's important moments, barely noticed. The stark contrast between the two couldn't be clearer, and it ruthlessly highlights how well the royal family understands the long game. Meanwhile, Harry? Well, he's still figuring out how to use Twitter without coming off as a total outsider to the life everyone else is living. This might seem like one of those melodramatic, forgotten prince stories, but it's not just being forgotten. It's as if he's been entirely erased from the picture. And yes, Harry, it might be time to rethink your career goals. Or at the very least, start by waiting for someone to mention you, maybe just a passing mention at the next royal gathering. But then again, even that might be asking for too much.